What if we would run our modern societies completely on human power? On that we made a scenario, and in that scenario we go over all kinds of issues in society. And because we are doing this scenario in the Netherlands, one thing we could never avoid was dredging. If we don't dredge in this country, we will drown. So what kind of effect would it have if we would have to do that all by hand again? Well, for that we went to Friesland, one of the northern provinces of the Netherlands, where you can still find a very beautiful example of small-scale canals digged by hand back in the days. Today we have approximately like 6,000 kilometers of small canals, so that really gives you a good feel of how that would work. But to make it work in a modern society, we also had to figure out how can we make a model, an economic and social model, which would work in a robust future scenario. So for that we came up with the dredging colony. And we made a model about the dredging colony, which I will show you now. And the idea is actually very simple. Because dredging doesn't pay off well, you have to think of 1,000 kilograms of mud will today pay you like €1 if you would dig with modern materials. So economically you cannot really compete with modern machines. But what we can do is hand out land, because especially in Friesland, a lot of these old canals, which you could see here, are actually on the edge of maintenance, because for centuries we are pumping the water down in order to keep the land dry, but there's a limit to it and we are now reaching it. So the idea is to give back parts of these lands back to nature, while you will get a new kind of natural environment like wetlands. And these wetlands are obviously very attractive for tourism, so we thought let's combine a dredging colony with this idea of having a quality landscape for tourism. So people who want to become a dredger, like this person here, they can obtain for a plot of land, just like in the old days when people were coming to Friesland to work in the peat industry. You can get a plot of land, and by that you become the caretaker of this whole area. And that means you have to all maintain it by hand, and at the same time it gives you the right to build you a house. So in this model we are looking now at a whole dredging colony who's actually working on the first terps. Terp is a Dutch word for hill, but then an artificial one which is built by the people who are dredging. So all the mud they get from the water they throw on the land, and by that they make this beautiful hill so they can start building their home in a later stage. And obviously when the community is growing, you can also start to invest in more heavy-duty equipment like this dredging boat. This boat is designed for like 65 people to operate it. And the idea is that you can deepen the canals a bit better, because by hand you only can dig till a maximum of 2 meters, then that's the limit. But with this machine you can actually go back or go much further, and you could easily dredge 4 or 5 meters. So big boats could also enter this canal. And it works very simple. It's a very old-fashioned system. So you have these buckets here in the back. These buckets, they go on a conveyor belt all the way down to the bottom of the canal, and then they scrape up the mud. It goes up here, and then on the other side you can see it better. You can see here the mud is falling, it goes into this conveyor belt again, and then here is another boat coming, which is obviously also operated by hand. And then the mud will flow into this boat, and then you can transport it when the boat is full up to the place where you want to have your mud at shore. So here you see a nice transition crane to put the mud into these carriers, and then the carriers can go into the landscape. Well, this machine is operated by treadmills. You can see here it's a very strong system. It's a medieval system actually to carry heavy load, and you see that there's a lot of people involved in order to get the machine running. So people are even here downstairs and upstairs, so it's like a two-sided engine. Well, so this is the basic idea for a dredging colony in a modern time.